place to be is living free in Tennessee.
Well, good morning, everybody. It's time for a great cup of coffee this morning. You can see the steam is coming out the top. I just put some hollow roast in my mug. This is, of course, one of my cheap mug day at the pottery place is when they take their seconds, and then I get these for like $1 or $2. And every year that we have cheap mug day, I have to decide what I'm getting rid of to make room for this. Anyway, I'm delighted to be on today with Andy Mccann from Crossfit to Garage to talk about a little bit. I mean, it kind of started with me having a swim spa and talking to Andy about that. And I saw him at Self-Reliance Festival and just about taking care of your zone -0, which was something I started talking about at the Survival Podcast Fall Workshop. So let's start with this, Andy. Who or what is an Andy? And how'd you get into CrossFit? And how are we not just going to hear CrossFit all day today when people ask you questions?
Right. I will probably not mention CrossFit very much. I do like its methodology, not the game side of it, but the methodology. So how I got to be Andy first is I couldn't spell Andrew. Turns out I'm dyslexic. And when they ask you in kindergarten to spell your name, Andrew has too many letters. So I'm Andy from then on. And so the real brief story, I went to Georgia Tech to be an electrical engineer, made some money there, thought that's what you should be doing. Realized that all of my sales buddies are getting fat and old and we're making the money, but we're not really living the life. Accidentally found CrossFit, been doing that for about 20 years. And I'm 106, you can tell by the hair. And, it's a great way to work on that thing you need to, which is you, but yet we tend to not do, we wait. And especially, I don't know why my peers, my fellow engineer men that are 50, we tend not to even focus on ourselves, even when the doctor says, you are the statistic. And it's never too late. But anyway, so I got into it. Pretty passionate about that health and fitness side. Obviously, you have to have money, or otherwise you're just living a long time and being a burden. And so go for the money, go for the fitness, go for the health, do the things you want to do, live free in Tennessee or live sort of free here in Georgia.
Georgia. See, I was able to sing for a second. That's amazing.
I know. Yes. I've been to Stone Mountain, but that's about it.
Okay, so let's break it out. We got a lot of homesteaders on, a lot of people starting their own businesses. And you know how it is when you start your business, like there is so much to do.
Right.
How does a person find the balance between I need to fulfill my customer obligations and I need to not just be sitting in my chair in front of my computer the whole time? Like, how do you do that?
Yeah, so I think most people don't do it very well. There was a presentation at the Fall Festival where one of the wise ladies up there said, get shit done early. So yeah, that was yours. So it's probably the biggest thing is figure out what you need to do ahead of time. Whether it's the My 3 Things or, what moves the needle. But for me on the health and fitness side is small steps on the eating. What do I need to do to aim towards the trajectory I want? So like, for example, in the morning, if you don't start eating some sort of protein in the morning, it's really hard to catch up on some of those protein goals. And so I'm one of those nutcases that not only am I eating carnivore, I'm trying to eat this lion diet, mostly to kind of walk the journey with my son. He's got Crohn's, and he has found that this helps with histamine or whatever. So basically I'm eating red meat, salt, water, coffee. We've added eggs and goat cheese, but you have to do things early and have a really good why for why you want to do them. So pack the stuff in early. If you saw my Google Calendar, my whole life is blocked. And if something happens early in the morning, like Evie says, hey, I need you to drive me to school and everything is going to change, then I can just take that block and move it somewhere else. So I think the problem is on that work-life balance or health balance or just any of the balance. Some people think it's like 50% here and 50% there. It's not. It's like 90% the thing, whatever it is, and then 10%. So you just have to be okay with the balances you put in there. And it can't be at 0%, because if you 0% your health for long enough time, it gets over quick.
Yeah, I fully intended to go home on Sunday and hit the swim spa. And when I got home, I did not hit the swim spa. I hit the go to sleep.
Oh man.
And then the next day, my friend David reached out. He's like, "Did you hit the swim spot?" And I was like, "No." And I was already halfway through Monday I took my dogs on a walk, but I hadn't done anything. And so I was like, okay, I'm not going to get everything done today. I'm going to go hit the swim spot because if I don't make space for it, it won't happen. And part of why I put the swim spot on my homestead, which seems
Right.
a very homesteady thing, is because I love doing that. But if I don't make space for it, it's just a really expensive hot tub.
Well, and that can be fun too, but it's really expensive. So I guess I would also add into that. I also, the guy who came to talk about health and fitness, went home on Sunday and went to sleep. I was so tired. I think I laid down around like 7:30 and then woke up the next morning. I'm like, okay, well, I just lost it in that whole time. But we did a thing. We were up all the time. We were moving and all that. So I think you need to be also okay with stacking the stuff over time. So, okay, so I didn't do 7 days. I don't have a streak of fitness. Who cares? I have a conscious effort of getting it in there. Sometimes it doesn't work. So for me, I try to plan on 5 days of moving. And usually I just go to the gym. I own a gym, CrossFit Garage, just here in Woodstock, Georgia. Some days the gym I own, I don't even get to go to. I just go out and take a jog because that's what I've got. The great thing on a jog is the warm up is you jog. The exercise is you jog. And then the cool down is you jog. So it's just like, I just went and jogged whatever I'm done. Right? Actually, that's a good question on the swim spot. You just jump in and start going, right?
Yeah, so there are different kinds of swim spas. I have one that does not have variable speeds without me manually changing that.
Right.
So and I'm a fast swimmer. So I have it on its maximum speed and then I go in and I warm up by swimming less hard.
Right.
And then I swim harder. And like yesterday, the hardest stroke from a fitness standpoint, in my opinion, is butterfly, because you're like doing that with your body. And so I will do sets based on how many strokes I take of butterfly because I'm pretty out of shape. And then take a rest and then another one and then take a rest. But it's just like different strokes are harder or less hard. And then yesterday I did some core work where I was just like holding on to the pool. The current's hitting me here, and it's like you use your core muscles to hold yourself straight up.
Right.
Just because I felt like after being at Jack's, my back is always not super happy with me from, I don't know why, standing in his garage. I don't know what it is, sitting in the weird chairs. And I was like, okay, the low back's like screaming. And my solution to that is, how are my core muscles doing?
Yeah. I actually thought of the idea of hiring some sort of masseuse or something to come along and be in there, just like stay in the back, take tips. People will be with you all day. Yeah, a little cement floor on your heels. Yeah, that'll do you wonders. So, I heard that you can outswim your machine. That's actually something that I never even thought. For me, swimming is like from the devil. I'm in the South, so the devil did come down to Georgia, and when he did, he also left swim spas because that would never work for me. So I don't know if I'm reading one of the comments there. Hey, Alabama, you said you walk your dog every day except when it's raining. I'm in this hoodie right now because I took my dog out in the rain. You know who doesn't like the rain? This guy. But the dog doesn't care. Of course, wet dog is kind of awesome. No, but it's still steps. So keep doing it. And if you can get yourself, dry, keep your steps in there. There's a comedian in England. I'll think of his name in a minute, but he said there's no such thing as bad weather, just the wrong clothing.
Yeah, except today we had lightning this morning. So I also skipped my dog walk because of the lightning. And now I've got to fit it. I'm like, when the lightning's gone, then we'll go for the walk. And it's the same with the swim spots outside. I'm not going in the swim spot when there's lightning around.
Right. I mean, that just makes it more exciting.
Yeah.
So this is true. And so you and I know this. Many of the people in the festival, we were talking about this, or the workshop, solve the problem you need to solve. So you don't want to solve like, hey, I want to be healthy and fit, but I'm going to swim in a lightning storm. Okay. I'm just going to say that's like, you're breaking one of the rules, right? You're forgetting why you're doing it. I want to live a long time. I want to be harder to kill. Not let me jumping a leg with a lightning storm. That's just bad, right?
Yeah.
Hey, Alabama, or hey, Alabama said, I don't walk in the ice. I think that's wise. There's no reason to go out in the ice. You could, do the thing that propels you forward, solving one problem at a time. Now, it is nice to be able to stack those problems. Like, I know you love to swim and you want to do more things for fitness. So put those together. Why wouldn't you, right? We both have, or the three of us in the conversation here have dogs. The dog likes to walk. When you're on a walk, your mind is spinning about all the things you have to do. You know what your dog's thinking about? This walk. So use that, right? It doesn't have to be aggressive. It just has to be more. So typically what I tell people, if the only things you're doing are the things you're normally doing, you're probably not going to have a great outlook. You got to push yourself a little bit.
Yeah. Well, and have a fallback, right? Because if you live in a climate where ice is a problem ongoing and you don't want to walk in the ice, which I totally understand, or run in the ice, or ride a bike in the ice, or really ride a motorcycle in the ice. Although I've seen people do that in Colorado, and I'm always amazed because I'm like, I wouldn't hop on my motorcycle in this.
No.
Yeah, no. Then that means there needs to be a different plan. And some of these here said, I think they said if they can't get it in outside, they throw something on the TV. I do Pilates, YouTube Pilates. One of the cool things about the internet that was not the case 20 years ago when I was working out and you had to go to a class is you don't have to go physically to a class anymore.
No.
You can do something, which means all of our excuses turn into excuses. And I'm talking to you about this because I'm so guilty of not doing the workout.
Well, hey, we can all be successful in several things. If you ask my family, they're like, yes, he is healthy and fit, but he's still an asshole. And I'm working on that. So everyone works on something. And, as let's just say in this case, your health and fitness comes into line, something else will rise to the top as your bigger problem. Like, okay, well, I need to make more money or whatever it is, right? So there's always something, but don't let go of this zone 0. It's right in my face, or zone -1. It's inside me. It's the stuff I'm eating, or the mental fortitude or whatever. It doesn't have to be complicated, but it's definitely not easy. If it were easy, everyone would do it and people wouldn't die. Like half the people. So you and I were born around 1972 and 1973. When we hit 76, half the people we know statistically will be dead. Well, in real life, they'll be dead, but statistically, 50% of them will be dead. What caused that? Well, most of the time they ate like a death row inmate up until the moment and they're out. Sometimes it's kinetic impact, but usually it's those. If you look at the top 10 causes of mortality in the US, I think the first 5 have to do with if you just ate a little bit better and moved, no problem.
Yeah. My daughter will put on a podcast, walk around the kitchen table for 30 minutes.
Yeah, there's something.
Yeah. That works.
There's a couple good podcasts out there. Living Free in Tennessee, the Food, Fitness, and Finances. That's me. Find me out there. I talk really fast, so you can't listen to me on ×2 speed. It won't work.
You can totally ×2 me.
Well, that's right. When your intro played, I was like, whoa, that's slow because I ×2 everything.
Yeah. Well, and I do that intro because it turns out, even though I've told YouTube not to put an ad on this live stream, they do before you get to it. And I realized people were missing the first 15 to 30 seconds every time. Oh. So then I'm like, okay, we'll have popcorn noise and a sheep chewing. I don't know why.
That's good. I liked it. It was entertaining.
Yeah. I should change that out every so often just for fun. But
so people don't like change. They like consistency. And even it's so crazy. At our gym, we did a little bit of a change to make things more efficient. It's literally better for them. And they're like, I don't know.
I don't know, man. You forgot to talk about what a problem the thing you were fixing was for 3 months before you made the change.
Well, right. Well, yes. And then it's just like anything else. You forget what it was once it goes away. And you're like, no, you guys really didn't like that, right?
Yeah. Margot says it's very crunchy in the headphones. I'm like, I could turn the crunch down.
No, you want that. That's just part of the experience. Every crunch is a burpee. You need to do a burpee for every crunch.
Do your burpees.
Yeah. Actually today, so it's kind of funny. Today's workout was, it was rowing and burpee. It was a sprint style. So you would do 15 burpees and you jump on the rower and get as many calories as you could in 2 minutes and then rest for 2 minutes. Everybody always says, I hate burpees. Guys, it's mindset. I've been saying for 20 years, but I'll just tell everyone I like them. And weirdly, I don't really care for them. And there's a weird movement. You drop on the ground, you stand up and jump and clap, right? It's tough. It's exhausting, whatever. But I've said it for 20 years. And now people say, oh, Andy, this is one of your favorite workouts. I'm like, great. It just becomes a thing. Yeah. So let that like sink in. It's in here a lot of times. I am the type of person that's healthy and fit. What does a healthy and fit person do for choices? They get the hard shit done first. They go out and do the swim. Well, maybe not like yours actually is, you can warm it up, right?
Well, I keep it at 80 to 85 degrees right now.
You don't want to, well, maybe you do want to swim.
Well, so I'm getting my first test this week where it drops down to freezing.
Oh.
And now I get to see what it's like to run wet from the swim spot all the way up to my house after a workout, and to also take like, woo, it's cold outside, get in the swim spa. But I feel like because it's going to be warmer than the outside air, it may not be as bad as I think it will be, because like yesterday it was 75 degrees and I'm in the sun, so it feels warmer, and it was kind of cold getting in.
Right.
And then once you work out, it doesn't matter. Like your body temperature gets up. But when it's 37 degrees outside, I feel like I'm going to be like, man, it's cold out here.
I think you turned it into a feature, not a flaw. So the feature is people want a cold plunge. I'm going to cold air this thing. Let's do it. And I'm going to walk slowly and embrace the suck and do my box breathing and then walk like with intention. And then when you get inside, you're like, you can to Mother Nature. Like I own you.
Yeah.
That's cold.
Yeah, the other struggle I've had is underwater music. Okay, so here's something interesting, Andy. I had so many people pull me off to the side to ask me specific questions about the swim spa. They were like, how does it work? What is like, how do you get it work? Like all of those things. I had no idea so many people were interested in swim spas.
I didn't even know it was a thing.
Yeah.
I didn't know you could have it at home. I know people had them places, but not like, I could get that. So yeah, it was intriguing.
Just a full disclosure, I don't outswim an endless pool brand on their elite line.
I've looked it up.
I outswim everything else I've tried. Huh?
I looked them up. They're like, hey, Nicole cannot buy this because she makes us look bad.
Well, Nicole did not want to spend $65,000 on a pool.
Dang, yes, okay. That's why most people don't have those.
I don't outswim that one. And you can set your workouts and it varies the current, which is kind of cool. So... but also their customer service doesn't have a good reputation. Yeah. And so that I was like, well, okay. Because if I need to make room for $65,000 in a pool for myself, I'm going to figure it out. Right.
That's a lot of coffee. We can do it.
We can do it. More coffee needs to sell. That's all I'm saying.
So I think in those cases, you rent from somebody else that's 45 minutes away. You drive to them.
Yeah, well, then I can just go swim laps in the pool. Though.
That's right. You just go to them.
Mine is going up for hourly use in the next week.
That's awesome.
And then it'll be like, it looks sketchy here. There's mud. That's because we just put it in, and we're not. If this is not a spa experience, this is a get your workout in experience.
Right. How do you control all of them peeing in your pool?
I can't.
So it just increases the temperature of the water. It's fine.
Exactly. Hopefully they won't.
It's a feature. It's a feature.
It's a feature.
Yeah.
More
I think what you're doing is awesome. You're taking the steps towards the goal of I would like to be harder to kill. So basically in this business, it's been about, I'm just call it 20 years of being in this fitness world. One, there's a lot of cheaters and scammers. I just don't understand why people can't run a solid business, but it's the thing. Let's get a huge contract. Let's never let you out or whatever. We don't do that sort of stuff. If we don't do the job we said we would do, fire us, right? So find a place that'll hook you up, but focus on solving that one problem, start down the path, have a mindset of what you want to do. Like, hey, I want to move and I want to eat better. Great. And you take them one step at a time. So what did I have for breakfast this morning? Well, if it starts off with like a Pop-Tart, okay, maybe can we do a Pop-Tart without the frosting on the outside, right? And then can we back it up? Small steps. We have a long time on this journey. Well, unless you've done really poorly for a long time, maybe we need to go faster. But small steps, small winnable steps. You want to do things that'll get you there, right? I would say it was aggressive to buy a pool. If you just hear, Well, Nicole bought a pool. But that's not the story. There's a whole lot of backstory of I was driving, I was trying, they would close me down. I couldn't go on Sundays. I missed a whole summer because it was too much lightning. They had too much control over the method that I knew I would use. So I bring that on myself. That's a beautiful thing. And it's hard to know what the thing is unless you're out there trying.
Well, maybe, and it goes back further than that. When I did 75 hard, I only got to swim once a week because the pool was so far away. So I was rowing, I was lifting weights, I was doing other things. And every time I'm on, I like rowing, by the way. Another one I like. But I was like, rowing every single day is not what I love. And what I don't do at this time is run, because I struggle with the joint impact of that, which we could talk about. But that's also why I don't jump rope anymore.
Speaking of joints, not this one, but our mobile ones, I actually just did a podcast on Tuesday for Mama Sauce on knees.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she's got, if you're listening, Mama Sauce, go to, I can't even remember what my own podcast is called. Fitness, Food, and Finance. You'll see an episode just for you on knees. So, no, that's true. Solve the problem. So this is a good one too. Hey, if I want to either do knee surgery or I've got a thing in my knee or whatever, there are steps you can take. Again, solve the first problem first. Most people going to knee surgery, your mom's not this case, but hey, lose weight first. My dad did double knee replacement surgery. They're like, dude, you don't want to lose the ability to be independent. And this surgery could do that, especially if you don't bounce back. He did both knees at the same time. The nurse on the way in was like, oh, dang, you're brave. He's like, well, wait a minute. I thought, and so it was too late by then. So don't lose your independence doing whatever it is you need to get to, and understand the challenges that are getting there. Small steps at a time. Usually it's weight. So I got a buddy of mine who said, well, I can't really work out. I don't have the time for it. I'm like, to eat better doesn't take more time. First, eat less, which is actually making more time in your day, right? So aim for that thing on the health and fitness on the inside, the zone -1 or the 0 or whatever it is. You can eat for entertainment, but eventually entertainment is going to drown you out, right? It'll kill you early. So you do not want to eat for entertainment over time.
Well, I think the other thing with your Pop-Tart example, because when you start the day right, and this is something else I learned on set, the water anyway, instinctually. But some days I don't drink a gallon. But I figured out if I had half a gallon done by noon, it was like easy sailing. And if I didn't have half a gallon done by 6 p.m., just to make the stupid goal, which is the wrong reason and the wrong way to drink water, I would be like slamming water right before bed and then up all night peeing, because that's what it did me no good.
No, and so I love what you just said there. Many people, guys, you need to hear this wisdom right there. To make the goal for the goal's sake isn't why you're doing it. Having water to hydrate you is beautiful. Waking yourself up, and I am so guilty of this, 4 or 5 times a night and not getting great sleep because if you don't, I'm pissing the bed, then you're exchanging one problem for another problem. Now, I can see sometimes that might make sense. I'm addicted to a thing. Okay, great. Let's introduce cigarettes. That's less of addiction or whatever. I don't know, right? So am I into smoking? Not really, but sometimes you need to knock one thing down to get the other thing. But if you're going to drink a lot of water and you're going to wait until 6 p.m. just to hit the goal, but I'm going to ruin my sleep. Well, so they took, I want to say it was lacrosse players. They took some college lacrosse players and they said for 1 week, we just want to do some sleep deprivation studies and see what happens. In 1 week, all their biometric stuff said, y'all are pre-diabetic. Just from the lack of sleep. They could eat whatever they want, do whatever they want. It was just sleep. So, man, don't just hit a goal to hit a goal. Don't go walk in the ice to get your miles. Come up with something better. You probably have stairs in your house. Go up the stairs a bunch of times.
Yeah, or do, just body movements, squats and whatnot. So you said in your presentation at Jack's, you were talking about squat below 90 degrees a certain number of times a week.
Yeah.
Maybe it was 3. I was like, there needs to be a Telegram channel where the Andy bot's like, today is squat day.
So this is the the general mixture of like preparation. Hey, like in the world of preps, you probably should have some gold and silver. You should probably have a way to have water, right? There's some just good ideas that you should probably have. In the world of health and fitness, in 20 years, this is what this engineer has come up with. I love to dissect it, create a plan and whatever. So if I'm going to work out for 5 days a week, 3 days a week, I should squat below parallel, which just means the top of my hip crease goes below the top of my knees. So I'm getting a full range squat 3 days a week. I should lift something heavy. What's heavy to you? It's just, I don't know. You should lift something heavy, some external load that you have to articulate up and down or whatever. And you should get out of breath 2 or 3 times a week. So mix those together as much as creativity will allow. And technically right then you have CrossFit. The methodology that I like about CrossFit as an engineer is constantly varied functional movements executed at high intensity. And then I've added in there over time, sometimes. So you don't always want to go crazy hard. But those movements are going to keep you moving through life. Not going to the games. That's just dumb. And not doing nothing. Not doing nothing. And not... That's a double negative. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Fine. We know what you mean. We mean what you stand.
There you go. Sweet. Oh, how the turns have tabled. Right. To do something and make those small steps. Doesn't have to be big. You don't have to start with, I mean, I love that program. What is it? Couch to 5K?
Yeah, I did that.
I mean, it doesn't start with go out and run a 5K. It's like little small movements. I have a buddy that I run adventure races with. An adventure race, think of a triathlon for rednecks. That's an adventure race. So they get a map and a compass, a canoe and a mountain bike, and you go out and find Easter eggs in the woods. Yeah. My buddy, Eddie Lent, he did a marathon. He's like, I'm going to do this thing. I'm overweight. Let's just do it. There's a thing called the Galloway method. And he's telling me about this. He's like, basically, Andy, you walk a minute, you jog a minute. You walk a minute, you jog a minute. For a marathon. I'm like, wow, that's boring. He's like, yeah, I was dead last until I wasn't. And then he just kept shooting people, right? Getting through the line.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be crazy hard. Walk and jog. You can do that.
Yep. So Jen wants to know, what is it an alternative to the squat movement if it makes you pop a fib out of joint? Okay. So some people just shouldn't squat below parallel.
Okay. Yes. So without knowing your medical history, let's assume you're not like medically damaged. Like my hip is like not through. So here's what I typically tell people. I think, and I didn't sleep at a Holiday Inn Express, and I am just an unfrozen caveman lawyer. That's 106. So take my advice as just an old man going through life, or middle-aged man, whatever I am. When the doctor says, oh, your knee's messed up, I wouldn't use your knee anymore. You're like, okay, that doesn't make much sense. Okay, your hip's messed up. I don't want to squat below parallel. I have a thing. Sure. Everyone's got a thing. I would say learn to do it slowly, methodically, and correctly as much as you can without having super amount of pain or repetitious like injury. Like, oh, I've got a torn thing and I keep tearing it. Well, don't do that, right? So feebleness doesn't care what you have. Feebleness is chasing you down. The statistics say half of us are dead by 76, right? The age thing. It also says that if you hit 65, if you trip, which is pretty damn likely, you're 25% more likely going to die that year. Okay, what problem are we trying to solve? Do you want to live a long time? Well, then I would say lean into the injury or the issue. How can I slowly and methodically get out of it? This is why, man, I know you said, Andy, don't go all in the CrossFit as a joke. I love CrossFit gyms. It doesn't have to be a CrossFit gym. Here's one of the reasons why. You get a solo entrepreneur, just some dude running a thing. He wants your money for sure. And the way he gets your money is by solving your problems for sure. So you go to him and say, I've got this thing. Help me solve it. Right? Check out the hook. Right? Hopefully some of y'all finish that one. Let him solve the problem for you. Whatever type of gym it is, solo entrepreneur, one person in a gym or maybe a couple coaches, but they're going to watch you and help you through that. If you try to do it on your own with an injury like that, yeah, it might be dicey.
Yeah, I know that a physical therapist would be somebody I'd be asking about the why on that as well. And to see what the problem is. Like for my mom, she's missing pieces in there.
Yeah.
So maybe she shouldn't squat below parallel at this hot minute, right?
I've seen her move and she can do it. So potentially, but yeah. I literally visually inspected what she could do. I'm like, that's pretty good. So let me say it another way. I'm missing pieces of emotion. So I shouldn't forgive people? No, I should learn to be less of an asshole. I know it's just being funny, but that's the thing. You're never as far out as you think you are, especially when you have somebody else's eyeballs on you. So hire a mentor. So Nicole is doing a thing, My 3 Things, January 9th. January 9th. I texted all of my kids. I'm like, dude, you need to get on this. It's not me telling you a thing. It's going to be someone else telling you a thing. It's probably similar to what I've said, but you're going to hear it. Other person's words, right? So if it's not family, it's not your kid, it's not your parent, somebody else is going to tell you those things, and it always means so much more. So take the time to go find someone who will invest a little bit of time into you.
Yeah. And I know at my gym, they had some people that were rehabbing knees, and they had them sit down and stand up instead of squat.
Yeah. So you can totally
because it was like the stand up motion was less risky because she's hypermobile. That's what the issue is.
Well, I see it right there. Somebody, Jen Hill just said that I'm hypermobile. So I'm hyperactive. It's just an excuse. Can I figure out a way to do less? Weirdly, coffee actually mellows me down. So I drink a lot of hollow roast coffee, and I'm like, you said it earlier. We all have excuses. Everybody's excuse is valid, but somebody can help get you out of that. Someone can help motivate you through it. And usually we can't see the forest for our own trees. And you ask that other person, it's like when you were up there on stage and you said, hey, Jack, tell me the thing. And he's like, I said it. And you're like, yeah, I just probably wouldn't have gotten those words out myself. Other people don't care about you and your story as much as you care about you and all that baggage. So they're going to tell you the thing faster. Plus, if you, like in this example, if you get a coach that's in fitness, they've seen this more often. You've seen it once. They've seen it at least probably more than once, right? So I've seen shoulder pain hundreds of times. Can I help you? I mean, basically. Now, is it exactly you? I don't know, but we can work on that together.
So you think find a coach to see if it is a long-term problem to relearn the function or the functional move.
And again, I don't know exactly what the issue is here, but it just pains me to hear a doctor's advice. Well, I just wouldn't squat anymore. I wouldn't use your legs anymore. Just don't bend your elbow. You're like, that doesn't make any sense. I would really like my elbow to work, and I don't want to trip and die. So can I work my way out of it? For example, there was a girl, Tina, I don't know her name. Tina came to our gym and said, the doctor told me to try to avoid using my knees as much as possible because my muscle was pulling my kneecaps out in a certain way. She said, is there anything else I could do instead of not do that? He's like, well, you could learn to lift weights. So she's like, well, why wouldn't I do that? So she came to our gym to learn to lift weights correctly so that she could then do her own thing on her own time for the rest of life, keeping her legs strong.
Yeah. Dawn's saying, what about a press machine? Same motion, reclined, more control over the weight.
Yes. So here's, yes, I am a fan of whatever you will do if you'll do it. So the best program out there that you don't follow is a shitty program. The worst program you actually follow is better because it'll make some movement, right? So here's my thought on machines. If you don't know what you're doing, read the label that they usually have there and just do what it says. I would probably pick a teenage boy that's lifting and be like, hey, teenage boy, how do I do this? Slide him some Bitcoin, some Satoshis. They're going to tell you. They may not know what that is, right? Buy him a smoothie, whatever. He wants to get his gains. Give him some creatine. Ask them for help. So when you're on a machine, bench press, I'm making numbers up here, but roll with me. I can probably bench press 200 pounds on a machine. With a bar and the weights, I'm probably at like 170. With dumbbells, I'm at like less than 100 pounds. So the more freedom you have, the less weight you have to lift, but you're giving up stability. So dumbbells are the ultimate in free form. You've got not just up and down, but you've got all three axi, whatever. You can move in all the dimensions. So it'll work you out in a different way than the machine will. But what's the problem you're solving? Hey, I'm very not stable. Go with the machine. Yeah. The robots are going to take over the world anyway. Start dating them now. Like, get on there and get your sweat all over that machine.
So we were talking about zone -0 or zone -1 at the TSP workshop a lot. Can you kind of explain what that is and why it has the negative in front of it?
Yeah. So that's like that inside of you part, right? So when you put up your garden, The best place to put a garden is a place you're going to see it every day. The best place to put the thing you're going to want to do. Let's say, for example, I don't know, this just came to my mind. You want to get a piano. You want to put it somewhere useful. If you put the piano in the basement away from everything, probably not going to play it very much. If you put it in a place that you pass by all the time, you're going to use it. Another example, Levi, my 18-year-old, is like, Dad, it's time for me to bulk up. I'm like, great. What do you want to do? He's like, I think I'm going to do the peanut butter challenge. Fortunately, to get out of the house, you have to walk by the kitchen. So we just left a jar of peanut butter and a spoon right there, and it's just Levi's, unless you really want to risk whatever he's eating, right? That's a whole nother way to like get yourself better. But anyway, that's zone 0. It's in your face. Zone -1 would be you taking care of yourself, which, I mean, arguably, all of us that are interested in the idea of homesteading, your chickens need you. Your garden needs you. If you aren't able to lean over and weed or spread the chicken feed, then you've created a system that's not going to work for very long. So you need to take care of that major component.
And many homesteaders are working very physically hard. Like Tactical was just next door at the pasture, running up and down a very steep hill. And if you think in your head that you know what a steep hill is, just it's steeper. We'll just put it that way, because the sheep got out last night in the thunderstorm. So, and he lifts up, bales of hay and feed and that sort of thing. Why would he also want to look at a fitness program when he's already running around burning like 90,000 calories a day?
Yeah, no, that's a great one. I think if you're moving, that's awesome. If you're lifting, like you talk about farm strong, they look at, I used to wrestle. We feared anybody that came from farm country because they're just going to crush you pound for pound, right? But you also want to give yourself some training in that movement. Many times when we're lifting, like, I don't know, I just bought some chicken feed, some scratch, right? It's a 50-pound bag. How am I going to get it up on my shoulder? I need to practice that movement. I don't get to warm up for the 50-pound bag. Guess how much it weighs? 50 pounds. So I don't get to like, well, let's start with a 10-pounder. Then, right? So there's no warm up. So you need to prepare your body to be able to express that movement pattern you want. So I will literally do a clean and a jerk and get the bag up on my shoulder, then walk it down. Do I need to do it like that? No, I could probably like drag it and like whatever. But you want to help your body as much as possible. You don't simply want to, well, I mean, you could just go out on the field and do your thing. You're going to have some great results from that. Like they didn't come up with the farmer's carry for nothing. It's a great exercise. Hold on to something heavy, walk. But you also want to do it a bit more controlled and with some more intensity. So when you're out on the farm, you don't want to like pass out, like lose your breath or whatever. You just want to get the work done. When we're training our body, we want to push it past our normal spot. So like I said, 3 days a week, squat below parallel, 3 days a week, lift something heavy, and 3 days a week, get out of breath. So weirdly, in the methodology of CrossFit, the constantly varied functional movements executed at high intensity, the single thing they can point to say, and especially now after 20 something years of data points, intensity moves the needle further in your health and fitness than almost anything else. What is intensity? It's power. What is power? It's work divided by time. On the farm, you like to do your chores quickly, but you don't want to do it like, I mean, you may slip up a hill, you may fall down or just the grounds. Like it's not as controlled. So we want to control some of the factors so that we can add some intensity so that our body can express a better level of change towards fitness.
Yeah, I like how Jen just put it. Intentional movement is different than work movement.
Oh, yeah. Right?
And
like how many times
so here's what I know. When I started learning to lift weights, which was not something I ever thought I'd do, about 10 years ago, I started that. I found myself when like flipping the mattress on my bed, flipping it differently.
Right.
And it was because I knew how to like leverage the motion to do it, which then meant I wasn't developing a low back problem by flipping mattresses when vacuuming or whatever.
Right. I know. I just found out you're supposed to like flip and rotate your mattress. I'm like,
it depends on the mattress now,
right.
But yeah.
But that's exactly it. So if you do it one time or a couple times or you don't know, but when you train the movement, you get to be like, oh, I can actually like, I will put things up here on my shoulder many times, a bar, because we do this all the time. So now I can grab this, lift it up there and walk it down, no problem, because I'm training that movement. Now, it's weird when you hear somebody say, but this happens all the time. I was at work. I did a thing. I reached over and I pulled. All of a sudden, I tore my whatever, right? So yes, we put ourselves in compromising positions all the time. Imagine if we had a tiny bit of training. As an example, my kids like to fight. My two boys are like, yeah, let's wrestle. It's wrestle time. Let's fight it up. I've got 4-ish years of wrestling under my belt. They have 0. This guy wins all the time because I know how to cheat. They go to college after wrestling me for a tiny bit. They join fraternities. It's time to wrestle because that's what boys do. We drink and we wrestle. I don't know. We always wrestle. They're like, Dad, this is crazy. I can actually like wrestle people down.
The internet gremlins just came in for just a second.
No, oops.
And
that's how you make $1 million.
Cool. I don't know if we just heard a story or you're just saying that's a joke on the way back in.
That was just a joke. That's my standard. They all missed it. Yeah. So what I was trying to say though is
Kennedy, yeah.
it's the idea of when you know a little bit and you take it with you, it can go a long way. Whether it's a wrestling skill, a movement skill, a financial skill, internet skill, right? So another one, I made my boys do chores, a lot of chores. He goes to the fraternity and they're like, hey, Levi, you seem to know how to do stuff, like use a drill. Got them out of a lot of pledge work, but it goes pretty far. They're like, oh, Dad, I didn't know they didn't know how to do their laundry. Thank you, I guess, right? So training yourself for those times, I mean, it's useful. Plus, you're going to develop other, like your shoulder especially is a weird joint. When you have a hinge joint like your elbow, it gives up mobility for stability. It only hinges. I mean, it doesn't really twist or whatever, right? Your shoulder can do everything. And it gave up stability for that. So people are like, oh, my shoulder. Yeah, of course, because it's got like a ball on the end and then like bubble gum. It doesn't really do like the awesome stuff like your hip. But it's more mobile. So you need to give it some opportunity to grow and be stronger rather than just, hey, every once in a while I lift a 50-pound bag. Like, I don't know, I'd probably train that a bit.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about nemesis moves.
Oh.
Do you know what those are?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
you got one?
What's your nemesis move?
Anything heavy. Strength is my weakness.
Okay.
I am not like so a strict press is like, I think 135 pounds is the best I've ever done. You let me use my legs a tiny bit. So a push press, 195 pounds, a push jerk, 215. So almost double the number just by getting my hips and my body involved. But this guy, I don't know. Strength is my weakness. I'm just weaker than most people.
Yeah.
Here's a funny story though. I started
He just
drinking
went out
more
again.
coffee. My testosterone went up.
I wonder when this happens, if I'm still here or not.
You're there. I see you. And now
We're
you're
having
out.
one of those StreamYard mornings. Anyway.
I saw you still.
Yeah. I actually don't think this is on my internet side. I think this is on the StreamYard side that keeps happening. So.
You look smooth on my side.
Okay. Weird.
Maybe it's just me. But yeah, so anything strength related is tough for me.
Yeah.
How about you?
Mine is a pull-up. I can push up all day long. Like one time we had a team building activity for a business I was running before I did Living Free in Tennessee. And we did a CrossFit workout that was rowing and push-ups. And the only male on the team got out push-upped by 2 of the females. Because my mom, like her arms, like you don't want to mess with her arms. I'm just saying. She can also pull up. So I can push up, but that pull up.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of. So once you get into like like a gymnastics movement like that, it gets there's some training that needs to be done, right? There's a lot of components that go into it. I have been very good at all the circus tricks. So put me on a unicycle and juggle, I can do it. Give me a heavy deadlift, I'm out. But I'm not, and that's okay, right? So do you have to do a pull-up? No. Do I have to lift really heavy? Well, it's relative. It's heavy to me. No, that's fine. Here's the thing I would tell people too, if you're going to investigate in the side of the movement, 1 rep maxes are to show off. They don't really do what you think they do. It's just to show off and to get some percentage numbers or whatever. I don't ever do 1 rep maxes anymore. The opportunity for catastrophic failure is much greater. So I'm always at a weight that I can do like 3 or 4 of them. And I'm okay with that. What problem am I solving? I would like to be stronger, but I would like to not hurt myself, because if I hurt myself, I'm probably not going to go to the gym, or I'm not going to do a thing. If I can stack fitness together, I'm doing the right thing.
That makes sense. Okay. How would you say building the habit of fitness into your life impacts your ability to make money?
Oh man, you just work so much more efficient. Yeah. So, yes, this is a good one. Many times people will say, I'm way too busy to work on my health and fitness. Like, okay, well, doing what? And make your main hustle the hustle. Get the money at the thing you're doing, whatever the main thing is. Find the thing that you're doing, make that money. But if you don't sharpen the axe, if you don't take the time to recalibrate yourself, if you're not getting enough sleep, if you're not eating correctly, you won't know that you're not operating with better efficiency until you get to the other place. You're like, oh man, I could have been doing more, better, faster, quicker, or whatever, right? I'm much more clear of thought. I'm finding opportunities to stress myself. So the stress of work actually comes down because now I have a different level to calibrate, right? When you live in the suck of a workout, you can endure that death by PowerPoint and death by Zoom call. You're like, it's okay. So yeah, I'm in the business of it. And the reason I'm in the business of it is I wanted it for myself. So I guess I should tell this story. This is kind of embarrassing and funny. So I'm going to say maybe I was 30. I was out in Louisiana doing my sales call. Basically, I sold test equipment to Bell South and some other stuff, but just to go with that, I decided I should probably eat healthy. What does that mean? I think I'm going to go to Cracker Barrel. So my first step to eating healthy was not to go to Wendy's and McDonald's. It was go to Cracker Barrel, which is it better? I don't know. It's slightly better. I wasn't eating the better stuff. I was still eating the fried apples and all that, but it's a step, right? You make that progress. There was a point in my life when I lived next to Krispy Kreme, and when the hot sign comes on, that means the donuts are hot and you should come over there and get a donut. And if you really want to have fun, you can take an entire donut and just and chase it with a little bit of hot chocolate or coffee, right? So you can go down the wrong paths and make up for it later on, right? There is a thing where you may have been dealt a bad genetic deal, or you may be 70 and not 17. So there are some things that you're like, I got to overcome some stuff. There may be some damage from teenage years. I just partied too hard and did a few things, whatever. And you can work through those. Yes, they may limit you, but it doesn't have to end you. And you can push past those.
Right. So what I've found is when I'm having like a critical path time, which critical path means the deadline's coming and you have to work every moment to get the deadline done. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Counterintuitively, if I work out for 15 or 20 minutes, I get more efficient at doing the things I'm doing. But I don't want to take the time to do that because it feels like that pressure of the deadline feels like it's just hitting you. And I think on a homestead, it's not exactly that, but it is that when the sun's up, I'm working until the sun sets, and there's always something to do on the homestead. And you just see that mounting, and it's much easier to go do those things than take a pause and just walk. I mean, hey, Alabama walks his dog, but you know, whatever that thing is, if you do build it in, it gets better. I think that helps impact your capacity to make money.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because, I think, you know, the complaint is people who are into fitness are hard coworkers because they're going to leave at 6 every day and go work out no matter what. Yeah, but what's the quality of their work while at the office?
Right. Or their attitudes or any of that stuff. Now you've said this multiple times. I'm going to encapsulate it in some words. Some people at the office would say, well, I'm done for the day. Work is done. I've finished I'm like, I have never actually been done with work. There's always more tasks. I should aim the camera down. You could see what my desk looks like after being gone for 5 weeks. I've got so many things piled up. I'm trying to sell a house. I'm trying to do a 1031 exchange for a house so we can get a house in UGA for a kid who's got Crohn's. I'm trying to buy the groceries to eat on this. I mean, that's just me. Then I've got work. Right. But I have the energy to do it. Like I said, I'm 106 and eating okay and working out is going to give you that energy, that vibrancy to continue to move to do the hard thing. Now, some of you may be thinking like, hey, I don't do anything. Where should I start? Literally anything's better than nothing. An easy one is I've told a couple buddies of mine, do like 60 seconds of burpees. Just get down on the floor, get back up. So yes, you're moving. It's a very big change in your center of gravity or your center of mass. You're all the way down, you're all the way up. but it's doing another powerful thing. It's teaching you to get off the floor. And that's a thing that I don't know why, but we lose that. We lose the ability just to get off the floor. So practice it. Only 60 seconds. Maybe you only do 1. Maybe you only do 2. That's okay. It's a start. It's something.
If you do something every day or almost every day, it really helps. And I think the other thing is reach out to your community. Like we have a community here in LFTN. We have groups where people post their My 3 Things every day. Some of our people in their My 3 Things say, go to the gym or do the workout. We've got a planking group going, and you report how long your plank was. Mine is the worst out of all of them, by the way. And they admit they didn't do it. Like they're not lying, because you can totally lie in those groups. They're like, yeah, I didn't do it yesterday. And the whole point of that is there's an accountability there. And I find when there's an accountability there, I'm much more likely to do the hard thing.
Yeah. So that's another good one. Take people along for the journey. So I'll go for the expensive side, hire a mentor. They're going to want you to do it. An easier one is find a friend and say, hey, keep me accountable. Find a group, a community. We're all moving towards that together. Keep us accountable. That's a beautiful thing. When friends really care, they want to invest in you. They know that that's part of it, right? It would be nice if I could coordinate it with somebody, but it can't. Like, let me give you an example. I will teach everybody everything they could possibly learn and then say, do it at your home. Buy your own home gym and do it. The weird part is many of us, when we buy that stuff at the home, we just don't ever use it. It becomes the ultimate inconvenience, but there's nobody to keep us accountable. You, like me, I am totally an accountable person. I want to be on a team. Everything is better when you're part of a team, right? So I want to go into class and, Nicole's like, what's up? I'm like, what's up? Right? We're all high-fiving each other. We're talking. They're like, wow, you only did like 2 burpees. I'm like, that's fine. But I'm there and I did it. If I do it at home, it just is hard for me to do. So I like that class or that community engagement. Potentially some of you guys that are doing this together on the My 3 Things, like, hey, I like to walk at 5 a.m. Get on the phone with me and just call me. Let's have a quick chat about the day coming up, right? You could kill 2 birds, 1 stone. You can partner up. That helps. Maybe it doesn't make it completely successful, but yeah, having that community, having somebody to go along with you, man, it's hard to refute the power of 2 or 3
or more. Jen says scheduling it has been imperative to my rehabilitation, and she does 20 minutes in the morning and 15 minutes in the evening, and she's done a whole reset. So she's also very good with her scheduling. She's one of those people who's very schedule oriented, which is helpful to her goals.
It took me, man, I was a paper guy. I would print off a calendar. I'd write it all down there. We had a wall calendar. We put it up there, all the kids stuff happening until somebody put their shirt across it and deleted everything. I'm like, oh crap. Well, I haven't really thought of that. And so I made the slow change over to a Google Calendar. And now I know Google's got everything, whatever. I'm willing to have them. All of my stuff's out there anyway. You sort of give up privacy when you do like what we're doing. But man, being able to track and move and grab the block and move it in there and then schedule it like, hey, I want this to repeat every Monday. Yes, please make it repeat. And it just puts it out there. Oh man, guys, schedule stuff. Use the power of scheduling and the power of waking up early.
Yeah. That doesn't resonate with some people listening to this who like to work at night. But for me, the older I get, it's better to do things first or early. And like slowly my natural wake up time has just moved earlier.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And sometimes, it's great to be on a schedule. Your body is going to appreciate that. So I know we didn't really go much into sleep, but 8 hours of sleep if you can. Some of you need less, some of you need more. That's a great way to recover. If you wake up early, that means you're probably going to go to bed sleep. So you got to figure out the problems you're solving. For example, I do want my 8 hours of sleep. But I've got a teenage daughter that I'd like to see before she goes to school. So I can't leave for the gym. So, right, what problem are you solving? Force rank your problems, figure out which ones are most important, and see if you can wiggle them in together or weave them in together.
Cool. Well, we're running out of time here. I've got a question for you. You know about my swim spa.
I do.
And what I'm finding with the swim spa is I get a good workout, but it's kind of the same. So what would your advice be to vary that, like vary the outcome of a different workout in the spa, because
Right.
jumping in and out of the spa is not a thing.
Yeah, so you can do modulated intensity. So again, constant very functional movements executed at high intensity. One, you're not constantly varied, but you're moving, so whatever, right? Functional, I mean, you're moving, your legs are going back and forth. Maybe we're not always swimming at all time, but it is pretty functional. High intensity. How can I add some intensity to that? You said you can outswim. Sorry, you said you can outswim the machine. Potentially, depending on the distance of it, you could power, touch the top, and let it push you back. Power, touch the top, let it push you back. Now you've got sprint intervals inside of the machine. Now, you can't breathe underwater, so I don't know how that's going to like pan out. I do like the idea of controlled breathing. You're sort of forcing yourself into a boxed breathing-ish, right? Man, I think everyone should understand the power of breath. I think somebody posted on the side earlier, Wim Hof breathing, all that stuff. But you could add or modulate the intensity right there. Is there enough room to outswim it and then coast back?
I'll try that today.
Yeah.
I'll see what that looks like. Like, yes, there is. It might be too fast, but I could mess with that. Like, because I'm on a tether too. I can tether in two directions.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I don't know. But that would be the thing. If it basically the swim stream is going to, or the swim pool or whatever, it's going to give you current. Yeah. How can I fight the current differently? Right. I would say if you could get in and out of it, but you don't want to ruin a thing or like cause a thing, like that's pretty functional. Climbing out of a thing, climbing back in. How deep is it? When you stand up, are you like?
Yeah, it's here.
Okay. So you could probably do some stuff underwater.
Like I can do different underwater things that are not swimming. Yes. Yeah.
So that could be a thing. They also have like water-based weights or something. Now, again, I wouldn't put anything in there that would compromise the lining because that's an expensive bit, right? To take some heavy dumbbells and then drop them and they hit sideways and you've lost all your water. We're solving the wrong problem. So I'd probably first start with how do I modulate my intensity with the stream coming at me? Instead of being constant, can I burst, come back? But again, I don't know the size of it, but that would be a first thought. Maybe hit me with a picture of it, or actually you're streaming that now, right?
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah, so I'll try to find that on the stream so I can see what it looks like. Give me some more ideas. Usually, again, when it's not your forest, I can see the trees.
Yeah, Tom says try swimming with dive weights. I don't know what that would be like, but that'd be fine. On the breathing side, actually, one of the great things about swimming is you breathe right. Like one problem I never had in the gym was knowing how to set up a breathe cycle, because it's all like breathing is part of every motion to me. Because there are times in swimming where you can't breathe. So then you take the times when you can inhale, like you can't inhale. Yeah.
And so you were consciously thinking about this is the time I need to do it right here.
So rowing is all breathing for me.
Yeah. There are many times a day when I'm doing coaching or whatever, where I'm telling people, I think you would do better if you actually breathed instead of trying to do 10 clean and jerks, holding your breath. Find a place to breathe in there. I think you're tired because you're not breathing.
Yeah. Stop holding your breath.
Right.
It's amazing how much oxygen helps. Although, those are guys at the gym who wear the Darth Vader mask.
Right. That's restrictive breathing training. I don't know. There's probably a place for it. Like I'm driving in, but it's not the same thing as altitude training. It's similar-ish. It's restricting your breathing, not letting you breathe with less oxygen. But that's the idea is, will it make my lungs stronger? I mean, I don't know. I feel like, yeah. I'm not a huge fan of accoutrement that go to the gym. I literally show up in what I'm in right now. I do have a pair of shoes that I like at the gym, but that's it. No gear, no changing. If I want to go harder and get out of breath, I'll go harder and get out of breath. If I want to stay on the bar longer, work on my grip strength.
I was about 40 years old when I made the decision to build fitness into my life. And I had been a competitive swimmer before, but then I had gone through my 30s and most of my 20s not. So I think having that original fitness foundation has helped me later in life, like young. But you've seen me, I'm overweight. And the day I decided to go to the gym, I found a gym, and it was a CrossFit gym. And my first day showing up, I was in hiking boots because that's the shoes I had. Random denim shorts and an old t-shirt. And I was like, let's start on ramp.
I love that.
And I wore that for the first 2 weeks until I got around to figuring out better shoes, everything. But I'm friends with those gym owners to this day. The gym's just no longer there.
Yeah. So that's a great part of this. I have one of the guys, Jared, he is in construction, and some days he shows up in what he was wearing in construction. She's like, I forgot. I'm like, that's fine. You're here.
My shoes. Yeah.
Yeah. You're here, buddy. You're doing the thing. You want to take your shoes off or leave the steel toed on? He's like, I guess I'll leave them on. I'm like, whatever. Let's do it.
Let's not drop weights on our toes.
Yeah, no, yeah, right, for sure. No, that's it. So that's what another thing that I like about this. People have said, well, I'm not fit enough to do CrossFit. I don't know. That's kind of weird. CrossFit is for anybody to get you moving. So are you a human? That's pretty much the qualification.
Oh, no, I've seen these guys worked with somebody with no legs.
Right.
And he was they just had to change it, or like the person I know who was sitting down and standing up instead of squatting weighed about 300 pounds. And so the issue was that amount of pressure on your knees is hard.
Yes. That's why I usually tell people.
And like wall push-ups instead of push-ups.
That's right. That's, again, beautiful thing. Everything is infinitely scalable and modifiable to the human range of motion. And that's what we want you to move through. Again, it doesn't have to be CrossFit. I just really like that methodology. CrossFit Games is not. I would never push anybody towards that. If that's you, I'll help you, but that's not the thing. It's a methodology, right? It's, the theory behind them, and then having somebody help you. It's just like, me and you, like you're going to do a thing, my 3 things on January 9th. It's to help get a mentor. She's offering some free advice. Take it. Why wouldn't you? Yeah.
Just got to make the time, 6 p.m. Central. Okay. We're at the end of the hour. How do people link with you and connect with you and the projects you're working on, Andy?
Sure. Yeah. So if you're in Woodstock, Georgia, you can come to our gym, CrossFit Garage. I know it's probably not going to happen. We did just recently start Garage Fitness Online, which is taking that and putting it online for people who are out and about. Either I have a home gym or I just can't get to a gym. So we have that. You can find me on YouTube at Andy Mccann 42. That's a lot of homesteading. It's CrossFit. I mean, it's a lot of everything. It's just things that I find interesting. We play some computer games. We play D&D. We fix a house. I mean, you name it, we're doing it. And then we'll have a podcast, Fitness, Food, and Finances, which basically is about those 3 things. In that, we want to help you lay a firm foundation so that you can live a good life now and have the money to not be a burden to somebody later on. So mostly it's food and fitness. But if you don't have the other stuff or the money, then it kind of doesn't work well for the people who love you. So, or email me, andy@crossfitgarage.com. I'm best on email. I'm not the best on any of these social apps. I'm 106. I don't know how that stuff works.
You are the story you tell yourself, Andy.
I know. Well, that's true. I can make it work, but I miss DMs. I'm like, there's 97 places I have to check. How about just send me an email?
Yeah. The reason you miss DMs is there's 97 places you have to check.
Yeah.
And then Facebook for me doesn't always notify me.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. Anyway, guys, I'll be doing that free webinar, which we talked about in yesterday's show on January 9th. It's the My 3 Things webinar. And it's organized around setting your life vision, your purpose, and some goals. That's what we're doing together. At the end of that webinar, which is about 2.5 hours long, it's like you're in for a while. You will not have your plan done. You will have your plan started, but it's like polishing a car, right? You have to keep polishing the car for it to be shiny after you put the wax on it. So that's the same with something like this, where you're going to want to get feedback from other people, but definitely sign up for that at NicoleSauce.com. And don't forget, holiday coffee roasting season is upon us. So head on over to hollowroast.com to grab your coffee. Make it a great week.